So I should probably back up a little bit before presenting this Border Trilogy, playing off of Cormac McCarthy's Border Trilogy, which has nothing to do with mine. Anyway, this all starts with last year's journey to golfing in the lower 48 states. When I was done with that, I was heading back up through Canada, or trying to, and I had border trouble. And what my Border Trilogy is about is that. But as far as my trouble at the border, I have my little card now with an awful picture of me. Not that I should care. And that should get me through. But coming home from my last trip, after I golfed in all of the lower 48 states, and was kind of tired, maybe a little cranky, I pulled up. I remembered that I had not gotten proof of vaccination, or was it a booster? I don't know what, but I had to prove something. I remember right at the border, and I put it in reverse, like I'm not ready to go through here. And I looked ahead again, and the guy was like waving me on. I yelled out the window, "I don't have my COVID card," or whatever it was. He says, "Come on up." So I went up. Cut. I should mention that not only did I not have proof that I did not have COVID, there's 3 negatives in that sentence, but here's a fourth. I also did not have a passport photo at that time, a passport card. Yeah, I had these. Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4. Used to be, before 9/11, that any old birth certificate gets you through the Canada border. After 9/11, they started to get strict. You needed a passport, or, well, let's just say it had to be the right birth certificate. And I couldn't seem to have the right one ever, or the combination I needed. One was good this way, but it wasn't good the other way. It didn't have the race seal, didn't have my mother's maiden name. It wasn't, quote, official. It was like birth certificate blackjack. And he kept wanting more, like, give me a hit. Give me another hit. Give me another hit. Okay, stop. And when I dealt him the 4th certificate, it was as if I dealt him a picture card because his mood changed. But I don't want to put any spoilers in here. Let's get back to real time. I said, I forgot to get my COVID thing, and he said that, oh, well, let's see what happens. He started asking me where I was going and where I'd been. And I told him, well, I just got done golfing in all the lower 48 states. And that was probably my mistake, because he wanted to talk about that. Oh, yeah, did you drink? I don't think he said that outright, but he was relating to me from a standpoint of somebody who goes out on the weekends with their buddies and drinks. And that's fine, but I don't drink. So I said, yeah, I usually just go out by myself. And, oh, it's no fun unless you get a little, golf's hard enough. And I said, yeah, but don't you think it's harder if you play it in a drunken stupor? And I kind of said it with a little edge to it. And he just looked at me, and I looked at him, and he goes, park over there. And I parked, but I guess he told me to park and go in. I sat out there, and there were border agents checking another vehicle beside me. And I thought, oh, I hope they don't do that to me. And then these guys come out, a guy and a girl actually. Said, you're supposed to be inside, sir. And I'm like, oh, I thought I was supposed to wait here. No. So I go inside, and I had to wait for a half hour before anything happened. And I think that was deliberate. Then they finally said, sir, come on up here. And I go up. It's one lady in behind the counter. She starts looking at something that only she could see on her computer, and then I could see her face change. She goes, sir, could you sit back down again and wait there? And it was a different place to wait. So I waited there for another, I won't say half hour, but it was about 15 minutes. And she and a male came over and said, "Sir, could you follow us, please?" I'm like, sure. They take me to this little room, an old, rickety-looking table. I said, "Sir, would you step to the other side of that table?" "Oh, yeah, okay." And he said, "Sir, would you empty your pockets, please?" And I'm like, okay, what's going on here? It's just, could you empty your pockets? And I put everything out there. And they asked me for my keys, like to just slide them over. And so I did. Well, they ended up interrogating me. They were asking me the same questions over and over again, maybe thrown in something a little different, like, "So you say that you were camping?" No, I was camping and golfing. "Oh, you were doing both?" "Yeah." "Do you have anything in your truck, sir, besides camping and golfing equipment? Do you have any drugs?" I'm like, "Well, I have some caffeine." "Do you have any drugs other than caffeine?" And the questions started to get to the point where one was asking them, the other was looking at my eyes, looking at me, trying to figure out if I was lying, I think. Like, "You're going to check my truck?" "Yes, we are, sir." "And it's okay. You can wait right there." So I wait. It was another half hour. And I start stewing over this. I mean, here I am. My license plate says Golf 49 on it. I've got golf stuff all over the truck, camping. I don't look like, I guess, I thought, I fit the profile of a drug smuggler. And they're out there checking my car, and there are people driving by, with kilos. And it started brewing and stewing, and I just was waiting for them to come back. I asked the lady, what's your probable cause? And she looked at me like, "Why are you asking me any questions?" And she goes, "Sir, we did a random check." And I'm like, "Well, what was random about it? I mean, there's always some sort of telltale sign, Was it the way I didn't want to talk about drinking and golfing? I'm not that kind of golfer. Or was it, what was it?" And she wouldn't say anything. And I said, "Can I speak to your supervisors?" And in between there, she told me that I can go out and check my truck to make sure that, everything's in place. And while she went to get her supervisor, I went out because I'm still fenced in, so there's nowhere I could go. The truck was in shambles. That's another thing. That's my home, And everything has its place. There's a purpose for everything in that truck, every space. And they had it all disheveled. Disheveled? It was all unkept. It was all cattywampus, all these words. And I was kind of furious. I went back in, and I'm like, "You just wrecked my home. For what?" And the guy, her supervisor came up, and it wasn't really a supervisor. It was kind of her peer, the two people who searched my truck. And I was like, "I want to know who your supervisor is. I feel mistreated here." He goes, "Sir," and he started getting all military with me. And I'm like, you're way too tactical, sir, for me to talk to right now. I just want to talk to your supervisor." But he wasn't there, so he gave me his number, name, and I went on my way, and they were sure to be at the gate to make sure I left, those two. I had to go back into the United States to go get my COVID shot. I'm still not sure what I had to do. When I went back to cross into America, the guy says, "So you had some trouble back there?" He already knew I was on their computer already as a troublemaker, I guess. And he said, "Yeah, on that side, they're a little, And he kind of chuckled. But he let me go right back into America, And I went in and got my COVID stuff and left the next day. But I went through another gate, and they knew that I had problems, or I was a troublemaker. And the guy there made me go back inside the building, and then a guy came out, and I was just spent at that point. I just told him, and I had 24 hours to think about it, or 12 hours. And so I just took my part. I owned my get to the border, sir, I don't know about anyone else, but I'm a little bit nervous to begin with. Then I knew I forgot my COVID stuff. I knew I didn't have a passport, and I would have to rely on my birth certificate. And I'm tired from driving. So I should have known that I'd be on edge. But isn't it part of a border agent's job to realize that people are going to be a little stressed, there's going to be a little anxiety, and they should be there to de-escalate that? You know, get the facts, but shouldn't you also be in de-escalation mode? I mean, that's what a good cop does. They're trained in how to de-escalate. Some of them. I'm a teacher, and I know that some of them give my students a hard time who have behavioral disorders. So that might be why I'm a little against the authorities. It's a learned behavior. And he agreed with me. I said, you know, I'm owning my part here, but I really suggest that de-escalation training, if it's not given to your people, I really stress that you relay my concerns about this. He said he would, and everything was good after that. So that's my border story. Now I'm heading toward the border again to get back into Canada. I just want to cut through their yard, basically, you know, to get to my yard, which is the lower 48. I have a passport this time. It's the card, which you can use to drive into Mexico or to drive into Canada. So I'm feeling a little better, and I'm glad I just talked this out, because while I was telling the story, I could feel my anxiety rising again, reliving it, PTSD. But now that I've talked it out and I've owned my stuff, I'm going to make sure I'm in a good place. So no matter what happens at the border, I'm going to stay calm. And not that I was yelling, but I was kind of demanding that they tell me why they searched me. Okay, it's happening again. I'm going to have some chocolate.